Okay, so here is the new project vehicle. 2003 GMC Envoy, 4.2 liter, automatic, 4-drive, 186,000 miles. I believe it's a gray metallic paint. I really do like the color of it. Definitely bought it as a project or flip vehicle. I'm not real sure. I really like it. It rides really well. But I've already got plenty of vehicles. So I found it on Craigslist, and the asking price was $1,500, so of course I had to read about it, and it has a few major problems that were mentioned, and many more that were not, of course, as usual. But the big problem is the engine knocks, the power steering is out, and the windshield is cracked, and that's what was listed in the ad. I was interested because they're very known for having a fan clutch issue that causes a tapping sound on the engine. So I thought, well, if I could score this and just replace the fan clutch and have the PCM reflashed and get rid of that, that'd be amazing. But as soon as we got it up there and got it running and got it warm, I could tell it was definitely internal to the engine. So I did a bunch of research on the engine knocking on the internal, and I find that it's extremely common. They call it piston slap, but most likely what happened is some guy's opinion was that GM or whoever builds them quit caring so much about matching pistons with the sleeve, so we end up with a piston that's too small for the sleeve, and it rattles around in there, causes it to slap. And a lot of people say you either have a catastrophic failure right away, or it just continues to knock for tens of thousands of miles. So I think my plan is to get it drivable, do the power steering, and then start fixing other little stuff, and take my time trying to find a used or replacement engine on this for a good price, and eventually swap that out, because it's pretty awful. I mean, it still has plenty of power. You know, it's smooth. It just you're just not going to be able to resell something that does that for any kind of money. One of the hidden issues that was not mentioned in the ad, and I didn't find out till later, is the entire front grille is just kind of hanging on by a thread up here. Like some of the clips are broke off, and maybe 4 of them here are still retaining it. Yeah, and it's cracked, so might try to find another one of those. And there was a few extra surprises in the engine bay. Most notably, we got some hoses missing. Got a nipple here, and a nipple there, and a nipple there. They don't seem to have hoses attached, and I think that's probably PCV. And over here, where the computer should be attached to these studs, 2 of them are missing, and it's just flopping in the breeze down here. And I think I'm missing a bracket right here that holds the AC line. That should be the low pressure return line. But like I said, I think the fan has already been changed, because it doesn't make any noise. And somebody has wired it for a giant stereo, which did come with it. Was kind of cool. And I might be missing a brace over on this side. I'm not sure about that. It seems like I've seen pictures where there was one here, and this one just doesn't have one, but there's a tab right there, like something was screwed in it. And just seeing that the other bolt on the other side of this brace is not there, and then the bolt right here is also missing. So somebody definitely started working on this and gave up and put it back together. I don't know, but they sure didn't do it right. And just for the initial inspection of the power steering pump, it does have fluid in it, but when it's running, it's not really churning in there, so it merely makes me wonder what happened. And that seems to be a common problem with power steering pump failures too. If it's in full lock and the engine's revved up, it'll blow the pump out. It's another big thread I've found on the internet. Give you a pretty good look at the crack in the windshield. It's not just something small and simple, it's full width almost. Definitely will have to be replaced. I am missing 3 of the 4 center caps, but the tires are actually in really good shape. I mean, they look fairly new, quite good tread. Although I just don't like the look of the smaller tires or wheels on this vehicle. The vehicle either needs to be lowered or larger tires need to be put on. Well, there's something I noticed. Broken wheel stud. Wouldn't have noticed that if I had all my center caps on there. I did check the rest, and the rest are fine though. Well, I finally got center caps, and ever since I've had this, I was like, man, those tires seem small, or the car needs lowered, something. So, and I was going to air them up, make sure they're all up to proper PSI, which if you open the driver's door, right here is your label that shows what PSI they're supposed to be at, 32 front and rear, but it also shows what size they are, and sure enough, it's supposed to be 245, 65 R17s, and the tires are actually 225s, if you can make that out. But I was like, well, there's my big clue. So I'm not quite sure if I'm going to replace them, because there's really good tread on them and they don't look that out of place, and according to all the websites that'll do the percentage of difference and all that kind of stuff, there's not that much difference. Like when the speedometer shows I'm doing 70, I'm only doing 68. That's not that big of a deal, honestly. One of the other problems I had was the hood is pretty badly hail damaged here and here, and there is one hell of a scratch right here, but it's hard for me to find any hail damage on the rest of the vehicle. I thought, you know, the roof would be just plastered with them, but I didn't find more than maybe one small one. I don't know, maybe the hood is made of a thinner metal and just, or maybe the hood was exposed and the rest of the car wasn't. I don't know, but it definitely took quite a few hits. It does have a sunroof, and it does not work, and it does rattle inside very badly, so that's something else I want to take a look at. Something else I want to look into is this is the only key I got, so I did not get a remote. So I definitely would like to figure out, I'm sure it came with a remote start, or not remote start, but a remote entry when it was new. So I'd like to get that feature put back on it somehow or other. And one of the first things I seen when opening the door was the yellow wire, and I asked about that, and apparently one of the previous owners rewired the speakers. And I was like, so, I mean, that looks like Cat 5 cable, but maybe it's not. Some kind of twisted pair stuff. Didn't really read it too well. See, I don't know, it could be a stereo specific thing, but I kind of doubt it. I also noticed this pin right here, which I think is the spring that holds the door open. That pin right there knocks pretty loud. See that? You can tell that pin is loose. So I'd like to replace that. It looks fairly easy. And cloth interior. And if you look hard, you can tell that the seats don't match. Looks like they replaced the driver's seat. I'm assuming the original one was wore out, but they didn't get the right cloth type. Maybe that's out of a Trailblazer or something like that. I'm not really sure. And when I got in, the first thing I noticed was the entire center console is not bolted down, so that needs to be addressed. And of course the lid is messed up. And apparently whoever wired the radio didn't have a clue what they were doing, because it is on all the time. The key is not in the ignition. The radio stays on all the time. Now, it may not be much of a draw, but if it sat for a few days, I might be worried about it being able to start the car. And then you see this stupidness. They mounted speakers, little tweeters right here. I don't know how well they're mounted. I'm hoping they're just kind of sticky taped on there, because I think they look ridiculous right there. Let's see, missing a sunglasses holder, I believe. One good thing is that door locks and windows all work. The driver's window is extremely squeaky, so I definitely want to lubricate that one. And if the lubrication doesn't work, then we'll definitely dig in and fix that, because that is awful. Never noticed this before, but apparently maybe if the key is in, then you cannot lock the driver's door because it wants to unlock itself. That's kind of cool. They don't seem to actuate it the whole way though, so I'm kind of curious if it's even opening the door from the outside. I'm gonna try locking these. Nope, it's not. It could be that the battery's already worn down. Okay, that was unlocked, that was locked. Okay, so now they're unlocked. Yeah, so it does. Even though that's not all the way back. That's kind of weird. That switch works. I don't think I tried that before. There's another piece of hail damage right there. That one works. See a little bit more there too. That works. That switch works too. That's good. So it looks like I've got a manual passenger seat, but the driver's seat is electric. I've already been through the controls on this one. Well, that looks awful. I need a new trim piece for that, but it all seems to work. And that's hard to tell just by showing it, but I could feel it when I was riding in it that it worked. Definitely needs cleaned out. No shocker there. Manual tilt wheel. I'm okay with that. No steering wheel controls. That kind of sucks. All the gauges seem to work just fine when I was driving it. I did get a service engine soon light, but it might be have to do a lot with all those hoses missing. And you can see the miles. Quite a bit. The blower only seems to work when it's all the way on 5. So I think resistor pack is probably shot. I don't believe AC works. I'd be shocked if it did anyway. I have not tried the 4-drive out yet. And oh, we got an extra cigarette lighter down in here. I don't need 2. That looks used. Just a little bit used, but so somebody did smoke in it. Not tried the rear wiper yet either. So I got a broken accessory port cover. It's kind of hard to unlatch. I don't know if I can find another one of those or not. I haven't tried the emergency brake either, actually. Yeah, also I don't think the diverter was working either. Now that I think about it, it seems like I tried to change it from feet to face or whatever you want to say, and didn't really seem to make much difference. Okay, well, I've got it on full defrost. I do feel it. Feels like it's at full blow. It's still coming out defrost. I don't feel anything up here. Well, there's not much going on up there either. So maybe it's at full footwell. Can't really feel anything on my feet either, actually. So that'll have to be looked at. I do have a hitch, and about the only rust I could find on here is this corner seems to be starting. That's probably pretty common. And one of the big things I noticed was glass. I can't get it to lift more than that right there. And if you really watch, it looks like it's pivoting in the right place up here. But on this side, it seems to be pivoting down here. Like it's pivoting right in there, so that definitely needs to be looked at. Bottom side rust doesn't look too awful yet. So it looks like I've got a little more rust right in the middle. It's probably bubbling all the way down, yeah. Probably very common for being in the rust belt. I don't seem to have very good access to the glass hinges or anything though. I haven't looked too hard yet. Back carpet definitely needs cleaned. I got a free jack. And there's the 212s. And then there is a 4,000 watt amp wired up back here. Not very cleanly. I don't recognize the brand. They do thump pretty well. And whatever was supposed to be under this cover, I don't know, but it's not there now. I don't know if that might be for the jack. There's a lot of trash in here I haven't dealt with, but I haven't found the stock jack, if there was supposed to be one. That cubby hole was empty. Lots of little, I don't know, looks like paint maybe. I don't know what they were doing. A lot of specks of paint everywhere that need to get cleaned off too. And on the ride home, at speed, I did notice a little bit of steering wheel shake. So I might have something in the loose in the front end. I doubt the power steering pump replacement will cure that, but I'll definitely have to look at some of the steering components when I get it up in the air next. Okay, since it's up in the air, I'm gonna wiggle the wheels around to make sure that there's nothing loose in there, since I had that steering wheel shake. Kind of feels something. Steering backside. Well, I feel nothing too obvious. Passenger side. Oh yeah. Unquestionable. I'm going to go with outer tie rod since I can see the inner and it's not moving. Alrighty. At least I know what was causing that. Also in the morning sun, I'm seeing a lot of streaking on the glass just from being rolled up and down. I wonder if I could polish that out. Looks like I'm going to have to do something with the passenger side headlight too. It needs to be sealed up, and they both need to be sanded down and clear coated and make them shiny and new again. Okay, some more craziness I found. The spare tire is held up with a ratchet strap, and it looks like it even broke and they put a knot in it or something. I don't know. That's crazy. So I'll definitely redo that, try to get the original equipment put back on there. The tie strap is not acceptable, and it does look like a semi-used tire, but as long as it holds pressure, that's all we're worried about. Okay, so that thing, the spare tire being held up by the straps, led me to find the jack. So I didn't know where it was, so I looked for the owner's manual, and I've got nothing in there, which was super easy to replace. Just got on eBay and found one for 12 bucks shipped, so that's coming. But I also found one online. By the way, there's all your option codes, and I already looked up all those. Nothing special about this one. So there was an online manual that showed that it should be under the back seats, and it should be right there. You got holders for what, 3 or 4 rods there, and then some kind of bottle jack should be there too. So I need to replace that as well. Well, as you can see, there are plenty of projects, little projects to do on this vehicle before we get to the big engine issues. So I've already dug in, and I'll be posting videos almost just as soon as I get this one up too, because a lot of these fixes are pretty easy and simple and quick, and just make little quick videos of it and post them as I go along, so stay tuned.